A storm may shake the world outside you, but nothing is stronger than the heart that refuses to tremble. True strength comes from calmness, not force. It is one of those truths that life keeps trying to teach us again and again through every conflict, every disappointment, every moment where our emotions want to run ahead of our wisdom. Calmness is not the absence of feeling. Calmness is the mastery of feeling. It is the gentle but unbreakable hand that keeps your heart steady when the world tries to shake it loose. Force is easy. Anyone can raise their voice. Anyone can slam a door. Anyone can react without thinking, letting emotions spill out like water from an open faucet. But calmness, true calmness, is difficult. It asks you to rise above your first impulse, your first fear, your first spark of anger. It asks you to meet chaos with clarity and pain with patience. And that is why calmness is stronger than force could ever be. When you act in force, you act with urgency. But when you act in calmness, you act with intention. Force is a reaction, calmness is a choice. And every time you choose calmness, you reclaim your power piece by piece, moment by moment. You build a strength inside you that no one can take away, no matter how loudly the world demands your attention. Think about a river, powerful, steady, purposeful. It does not scream to move mountains. It simply flows. Day after day, moment after moment, it carves its path with unwavering determination. Force is like a sudden wave crashing loudly against the rocks. Impressive for a moment, but gone as quickly as it came. Calmness is the river, lasting, focused, strong. When you learn to remain calm, you become a person who cannot be manipulated by sudden emotions, yours or others. People who depend on force often break under pressure. Their strength is borrowed, temporary, unstable. But a calm heart remains intact because its power comes from within, not from the external world. Calmness is strength that does not need to be seen or heard to be felt. It is strength that carries itself quietly but confidently. Calmness lets you think clearly when others are drowning in confusion. It lets you see solutions where others only see problems. It lets you hold on to your dignity when others lose theirs. And with that clarity comes a power that force could never touch. When you are calm, you become the steady presence in a room full of noise. People trust calmness. They gravitate toward it, not because it is loud, but because it is stable. Calmness creates leadership without demanding authority. It earns respect without ever raising its voice. True strength is the one that remains even after the shouting stops, after the anger cools, after the moment passes. Force burns out. Calmness endures. Force might win an argument, but calmness wins understanding. Force might silence someone, but calmness invites truth. Force might give you a moment of dominance, but calmness gives you a lifetime of respect. Calmness teaches you how to respond rather than react. Reacting is automatic. It is the quick spark of emotion that jumps out without your permission. Responding is deliberate. It is the wisdom in you choosing what deserves your energy and what does not. Calmness slows down the moment just enough for you to see what is real and what is not. It gives you time to separate emotion from intention, fear from fact, noise from clarity. And the more you practice calmness, the more power you hold in your life. Imagine how different your days would feel if you did not allow every rude comment to provoke you, every delay to frustrate you, every challenge to intimidate you. Imagine how different your mind would feel if you were not constantly pulled by emotional reaction, but guided by thoughtful response. That is what calmness does. It frees you. It protects you. It gives you control over the one thing that is truly yours. Your inner world. True strength comes from calmness because calmness allows you to stand firm in situations where others collapse. Someone can try to push you, provoke you, or confuse you, but if your heart remains calm, nothing can shake your foundation. Calmness is your anchor. It keeps you grounded even when the sea around you becomes wild. And when you are grounded, you cannot be moved by temporary emotions, temporary people, or temporary circumstances. Force makes you brittle. Calmness makes you flexible. When you are brittle, life can snap you easily. But when you are flexible, you bend, you adapt, you endure. Adaptation is not weakness, it is the strongest instinct of survival. Calmness gives you the emotional flexibility to survive storms with grace rather than fear. When you meet life with force, you exhaust yourself. You burn your energy quickly trying to control everything outside you. But calmness teaches you to control what matters, yourself. And when you control yourself, the world cannot control you. Calmness is not silence. Calmness is not passiveness. Calmness is not turning away. Calmness is strength with wisdom added to it. Calmness is knowing when to speak, knowing how to speak, knowing whether the moment even deserves your voice. Calmness is not the lack of power. It is power under discipline. A calm person can look into chaos and see a path. A forceful person sees only a threat. Calmness lets you rise above the noise, seeing the larger picture. It lets you weigh your decisions rather than gamble them. It lets you protect your peace rather than hand it away. The world will push you to react instantly, to choose quickly, to feel intensely. But calmness whispers that your power grows when you slow down, when you breathe, when you think, when you stand tall inside yourself before you move toward the world. True strength comes from calmness, and calmness comes from choosing peace even when chaos invites you to battle. Choosing patience even when anger begs to lead. Choosing clarity even when confusion feels easier. Strength is not loud. Strength is not reckless. Strength is not emotional turbulence dressed as power. Strength is calm, steady, grounded, and deeply rooted. When you discover the power of a calm heart, you discover a version of yourself that nothing can break. Because a calm heart is a controlled heart, and a controlled heart is a powerful one. A calm heart sees clearly when chaos tries to distract. It is a truth that the world rarely teaches us. We are surrounded by noise, by interruptions, by urgent demands that scream for our attention. The world tells us that we must respond immediately, that hesitation is weakness, that reaction is proof of vitality. But a calm heart knows differently. It knows that clarity does not arrive in haste. It arrives in stillness, in patience, in the quiet space between what is and what could be. When everything around you is shouting, a calm heart listens first. It does not absorb the noise as truth. It evaluates, observes, and then decides what deserves its energy. That is why calmness is not merely a luxury. It is a superpower in a world designed to distract. When chaos comes, it is rarely polite. It arrives in many forms: the sudden criticism, the unexpected delay, the conflict that seems to come out of nowhere. For someone whose heart is untrained, these moments feel like hurricanes. Thoughts scatter, emotions erupt, decisions are made in panic. Yet the calm heart behaves differently. It remains anchored. It does not allow external storms to dictate internal turbulence. Instead, it watches, it assesses, and it discerns. It sees the difference between what matters and what does not. It distinguishes between temporary disturbances and lasting consequences. While the world may be in uproar, the calm heart navigates with clarity as if it has been granted a secret map, one that the frantic cannot read because they are too busy reacting. Clarity is born in observation, and observation demands calmness. A frantic mind misses details, overlooks possibilities, and often exaggerates threats. The calm heart, however, notices subtle shifts, small patterns, and hidden truths. When people around it panic, the calm heart remains composed and sees what they cannot. It notices the motivations behind actions, the patterns behind behavior, the opportunity behind crisis. While others may be blinded by their fear or anger, the calm heart perceives with sharp precision. And this perception allows it to act wisely, not just quickly. It chooses paths that others cannot even imagine because it has the gift of clarity amidst chaos. A calm heart also protects judgment from being hijacked by emotion. In moments of disorder, people often confuse intensity with importance. A loud argument, a heated disagreement, or a sudden emergency may feel urgent, but urgency does not always demand action. The calm heart waits, breathes, and evaluates. It asks the right questions before leaping. It measures the real stakes against imagined ones. It is not swayed by panic because it understands that the truest threats are seldom the ones that scream the loudest. It sees what is essential and ignores what is trivial. It distinguishes between what requires a response and what is merely noise. This discernment is the reason why calm hearts often succeed where reactive hearts fail. Moreover, clarity in chaos allows for creative solutions. When emotions are wild and the mind is scattered, innovation disappears. People who react quickly and panic often repeat patterns that have failed before. But a calm heart, seeing clearly, can find new paths. It can bend without breaking. It can act decisively without losing composure. It can discover opportunities hidden in problems because it does not confuse urgency with necessity. By maintaining a steady gaze, the calm heart perceives what is possible instead of being trapped by what is immediate. The calm heart also communicates more effectively. When others are screaming or arguing, it does not mirror the chaos. It speaks with reason, with empathy, with patience. In moments of confusion, the calm heart becomes a lighthouse, guiding others toward understanding and resolution. People instinctively trust clarity, and a calm heart projects clarity. Even when surrounded by confusion, its voice becomes a signal of direction. This is why leaders, mentors, and great problem solvers all share one unspoken trait: the ability to remain calm when everything else is falling apart. Calmness allows clarity, and clarity inspires confidence in others. Furthermore, a calm heart sees not only the external chaos, but the internal. Chaos does not only come from the world outside, it lives inside us too, in our doubts, fears, and uncontrolled reactions. A calm heart monitors these internal storms and refuses to be swept away. It identifies thoughts that are exaggerated, fears that are unfounded, and impulses that are unnecessary. By seeing clearly inside itself, it prevents internal chaos from adding to the external confusion. This self-awareness is part of the clarity that others cannot see but always feel. People instinctively recognize calmness as strength, and they sense that a calm heart is not easily manipulated by panic or persuasion. In every challenge, every distraction, every moment where the world attempts to pull attention in countless directions, the calm heart remains a center. It is the eye of the storm, steady while everything swirls around it. It does not succumb to the noise because it has trained itself to notice what matters, to differentiate signal from static, and to prioritize with intention. It sees beyond the immediate clamor and perceives the underlying patterns, the hidden truths, and the most meaningful actions. This clarity allows it to move with confidence, to act with precision, and to maintain its strength even when everything else is in disorder. To cultivate a calm heart is to cultivate clarity itself. It is to train oneself to observe, to wait, to discern, to reflect. It is to build the ability to remain steady when others are swept away. It is to carry an inner compass that points toward truth, purpose, and wise action, no matter how disoriented the surroundings become. And when the calm heart sees clearly, chaos loses its power to distract, control, or weaken. The calm heart becomes the master of the moment, the observer who guides the outcome rather than being guided by it. A calm heart sees clearly when chaos tries to distract because it refuses to mistake noise for necessity, reaction for action, and panic for power. It stands as a quiet but unshakable witness to the world's turbulence, and in that witness, it finds insight, direction, and enduring strength. Stillness is power. Reacting quickly is not strength. This is a truth that runs quietly beneath the surface of life, often overlooked because the world celebrates speed, impulsiveness, and the appearance of action. People are conditioned to believe that immediate reaction equals competence, that haste signals courage, that the one who moves fastest holds the upper hand. But true strength does not announce itself in frantic movement or sudden bursts of energy. True strength resides in stillness, in the deliberate pause that allows clarity to emerge, in the patience to observe before responding. Stillness is the quiet force that sees the whole picture, while hasty reaction often succumbs to the partial and the immediate. When you are still, you are not idle. Stillness is not weakness. It is not hesitation or indecision. It is awareness, presence, and control. The world moves fast, yes, but those who react immediately are often swept along by events they do not fully understand. They respond to surfaces, to appearances, to the loudest voice in the room. Their energy is scattered, their judgment clouded by impulse. Stillness, on the other hand, allows you to see beyond the surface. It allows you to pause, to breathe, and to consider all aspects before committing your energy. In that pause, power is born. Stillness is power because it creates space between stimulus and response. That space is sacred. In that space, you discover choice. Reacting quickly is instinctive. It is automatic. Reacting without pause is often reactionary rather than intentional. It may produce immediate results, but those results rarely reflect wisdom or foresight. They may solve a problem temporarily, but create larger ones in their wake. Stillness, however, is the moment in which discernment thrives. It is the moment in which the mind assesses, the heart weighs, and the spirit measures what truly matters. Those who cultivate stillness carry the ability to respond effectively, decisively, and with lasting impact. Consider a tree in a storm. Its branches may bend and sway, but its roots are deep. The tree does not resist every gust with frantic force. It waits, it endures, it adapts. In the same way, a still person does not confront every stimulus with immediate action. They let events pass through the mind like wind through leaves. They do not squander energy on what is inconsequential. They do not allow emotion to dictate motion. In the center of chaos, they are steady, unshaken, and deliberate. That steadiness is strength because it is rooted in understanding rather than impulse. Reacting quickly can give the illusion of power. It can make you appear decisive. It can make others think you are courageous. But quick reaction without thought is often a surrender to external forces rather than an assertion of internal control. Strength is not measured by how fast you move, but by how consciously you move. It is not measured by the immediacy of your action, but by the effectiveness of your action. Those who understand this truth cultivate stillness. They allow the storm to reveal itself before acting. They allow the pattern to emerge before responding, and they allow their mind and heart to align before taking a single step. Stillness also protects against regret. Quick reactions, born of impulse, often lead to words spoken in anger, decisions made in fear, and choices that do not reflect values. These actions can harm relationships, damage reputations, and create problems that could have been avoided. Stillness is the safeguard. It is the pause that prevents harm, the filter that separates what is necessary from what is impulsive, the guide that ensures that when action is taken, it is deliberate, intentional, and aligned with wisdom. There is a quiet authority in stillness that cannot be replicated by noise. People who are calm, composed, and measured command respect not because they are loud, but because they are steady. They do not rush to prove themselves. Their confidence comes from understanding, from preparation, from the certainty that comes from seeing clearly and waiting for the right moment. Others may act quickly and gain momentary advantage, but the still person gains enduring power because their actions are precise, considered, and often more effective than hurried efforts could ever be. Stillness is also a form of resistance. It is the refusal to be swept away by the frenzy that surrounds you. It is the ability to preserve your energy, your focus, and your integrity in a world that constantly demands reaction. The person who reacts without stillness is often manipulated by circumstance. The person who holds still is guided by principle. That is why stillness is strength. It allows you to maintain control over yourself when everything else is attempting to control you. In stillness, you also find insight. Quick reactions often rely on incomplete information, emotion, or assumption. Stillness allows reflection. It allows consideration of all perspectives. It allows recognition of patterns that the hasty miss. It allows the opportunity to act not only for immediate gain, but for lasting benefit. Those who practice stillness discover that power is not in speed, but in timing, in understanding, and in intentional action. A life led by stillness is not a life of passivity. It is a life of awareness. It is a life in which every move carries weight because it is made with knowledge and intention. Reacting quickly may move you forward for a moment, but stillness carries you forward with endurance, purpose, and resilience. True strength is measured not by the swiftness of action, but by the depth of presence and the clarity of choice. Stillness is power. Reacting quickly is not strength. Those who cultivate the ability to pause, to breathe, to observe, and to measure before acting become unshakable. They are able to navigate storms, resolve conflicts, and lead with wisdom that the hurried will never possess. In the quiet of stillness, the true measure of strength is revealed. Storms are temporary, but a grounded heart is permanent. Life is full of moments that shake us, circumstances that frighten us, and challenges that seem too great to bear. The winds of difficulty can roar around us, uprooting our confidence, testing our patience, and threatening to sweep us away. But storms, no matter how violent, no matter how relentless, are fleeting. They are events in time, passing through our lives like clouds across the sky, leaving marks that fade, lessons that endure, and memories that shape us. What is permanent, what truly lasts, is the heart that remains grounded, anchored in its own strength, steadiness, and wisdom, unaffected by the temporary turbulence around it. A storm may batter you with disappointment, loss, or betrayal. It may howl with chaos in relationships, pressure in work, or conflict within families. It may rage with fear, anxiety, or sorrow. In these moments, it is tempting to let yourself be swept away. It is tempting to react with panic, anger, or despair. Many do. But a heart that is grounded does not let the storm dictate its state. It may bend, it may feel, it may adapt, but it does not break. Groundedness is a quiet power, a center of gravity within that allows you to endure, to witness, and to respond with intention rather than being dragged along by the currents of circumstance. A grounded heart understands the nature of storms. It knows that every trial has an end, that every upheaval has a passing. Nothing lasts forever, not the pain, not the fear, not the conflict. Even the darkest night gives way to dawn. Even the heaviest rain is followed by calm. When the heart is rooted, it does not invest itself entirely in the temporary turbulence. It sees beyond the storm, recognizing that these moments, while intense, are not permanent, and that life itself continues, carrying lessons and opportunities that cannot be taken by fleeting fear. The grounded heart is nourished by values, principles, and inner clarity. Its strength does not come from external conditions, from validation, or from ease. It comes from within, from a cultivated understanding of self, from a conscious choice to stand firm, and from a cultivated trust in the rhythms of life. Like a tree whose roots reach deep into the earth, the grounded heart absorbs nourishment from its foundation. When the winds of difficulty blow, it may sway, but its roots hold. It does not fly away. It does not crumble. It endures because its power is internal, not dependent on temporary circumstances. When storms arrive, the grounded heart is calm. Calmness in the midst of chaos is not a denial of reality. It is a recognition that survival and wisdom depend on composure. A heart that panics or reacts impulsively may act swiftly, but often at the expense of its long-term well-being. The grounded heart moves with purpose, choosing responses that align with its values and long-term vision. It does not waste energy on what cannot be controlled, but focuses instead on what it can nurture, change, or protect. It is in this composure that true power is revealed, the ability to remain whole, wise, and steadfast, even when everything around seems to be falling apart. Storms test resilience, patience, and perspective. They force us to confront fears, to face losses, and to endure discomfort. Yet for the grounded heart, storms are opportunities for growth rather than destruction. The heart that is rooted learns from adversity. It absorbs the lessons without being consumed by the intensity. It discovers strength it did not know it possessed. It discovers patience it might never have needed to exercise. And it discovers that impermanence is not a threat, but a teacher. The storm may shape the heart, but it does not define it. The heart remains permanent in its essence, able to face future challenges with increasing fortitude. A grounded heart also provides stability to others. When storms rage, people look for anchors. A person who remains steady in adversity becomes a source of reassurance, guidance, and inspiration. The grounded heart does not exacerbate panic, but models composure. It does not add to chaos, but provides clarity. In families, workplaces, communities, and friendships, grounded hearts are beacons, demonstrating that while storms may come and go, the inner strength we cultivate is enduring. Others can rely on this permanence, even when the world around them feels uncertain. The permanence of a grounded heart lies not in rigidity, but in balance. It is not unyielding. It bends when necessary to absorb shocks. It is not cold. It feels deeply, but without being overtaken by every turbulence. It is not naive. It recognizes danger, difficulty, and loss, but does not surrender to fear. This balance allows a heart to remain anchored without becoming stagnant. It enables action without impulsivity, patience without passivity, and courage without recklessness. In every trial, this heart endures and emerges wiser, stronger, and more capable of sustaining itself and others. To cultivate a grounded heart requires awareness, intention, and practice. It requires understanding the impermanent nature of storms and refusing to let temporary circumstances determine permanent emotions or decisions. It requires anchoring oneself in principles, self-respect, and perspective. It requires daily effort to remain connected to the inner center, to nurture calmness, patience, and clarity. The storms will come regardless of preparation, but the grounded heart will stand firm, not because it is untouched, but because it is anchored. Storms may rage, threatening to uproot everything in their path, but the grounded heart is unshakable. It may bend, adapt, or sway, but its roots hold. It endures long after the winds have passed, long after the rains have ceased, long after the chaos has dissolved. The temporary may challenge it, shape it, and test it, but it cannot destroy the heart that has learned to remain grounded. In this permanence lies freedom, resilience, and true strength. A grounded heart reminds us that life is a series of passing storms and enduring centers. The winds may howl, the waters may rise, and the clouds may darken, but the grounded heart remains steadfast. It is permanent, unmovable in its essence, a source of strength, clarity, and stability amidst all impermanence. To ground oneself is to claim this permanence, to ensure that no storm, no matter how fierce, can claim the foundation of one's soul. It is in this understanding, in this rootedness, that we discover a power greater than any storm, a peace greater than any turbulence, and a strength that is eternal. Emotional control separates the unshakable from the shaken. It is one of the deepest truths about human strength, one that the world rarely teaches but constantly tests. Life is filled with moments designed to challenge the heart, to provoke anger, to tempt fear, to demand immediate reaction. There will always be situations where emotions surge like wild rivers, threatening to overflow, to carry us away from reason and clarity. The difference between those who endure and those who falter, between those who stand firm and those who crumble, lies in the mastery of these emotions. Emotional control is not repression, nor is it denial of feeling. It is the conscious choice to manage your internal world when the external world conspires to disrupt it. It is the art of holding yourself steady when everything around you wants to shake you loose. Those who lack emotional control allow circumstances to dictate their reactions. A harsh word, a slight, a setback can trigger anger, fear, or despair. Their mind becomes a battlefield where emotion tramples reason and impulse overpowers reflection. They are moved like leaves in the wind, tossed about by forces outside their control. They act from reaction, not intention, and in those moments, power slips from their grasp. They may gain temporary satisfaction through an outburst or a rash decision, but lasting strength eludes them. They confuse expression with mastery, heat with courage, and agitation with vitality. The unshakable, by contrast, understands that strength is not shown by immediate reaction, but by measured response. Emotional control allows a person to pause before acting, to consider consequences before expressing. It creates a space between stimulus and response, a sacred moment in which clarity can emerge. Without this space, We are prisoners of our impulses, slaves to every provocation, at the mercy of every wave of emotion. The unshakable heart, however, recognizes that true power lies in this pause. It allows time to see beyond the immediate insult, to weigh options, to determine the most effective action rather than the most gratifying. The person who masters emotion does not react to the chaos of the world. They shape their own response, choosing what deserves attention, energy, and voice. Emotional control does not mean the absence of feeling. On the contrary, it requires profound awareness of one's own emotions. It demands recognition of anger, sadness, fear, and frustration without letting them dictate behavior. It is the ability to feel deeply, yet respond wisely. The unshakable heart experiences life fully, but does not allow every experience to break it. Emotional mastery allows strength to be rooted in understanding rather than impulse. It enables discernment and enables resilience because the individual is not constantly battered by waves of uncontrolled feeling. A person with emotional control can navigate conflict with calmness. In disagreements, when others raise their voices, allow pride to dominate, or react with hostility, the unshakable remain composed. Their calm does not indicate weakness, it indicates power. They see the conflict for what it is, a temporary challenge rather than a threat to their core. They are able to communicate effectively, solve problems creatively, and de-escalate tension. Emotional control gives the capacity to think strategically when others are lost in reaction. In this way, emotional mastery becomes not only a shield for oneself, but also a source of influence over the circumstances. The unshakable understand that emotional outbursts rarely solve problems. They often create them. Anger expressed in haste, fear acted upon impulsively. Sorrow reacted to without reflection can compound difficulties rather than resolve them. Emotional control provides a filter, a means to discern which feelings require action and which require patience. It allows judgment to be tempered by wisdom, courage to be guided by principle, and action to be aligned with long-term values. Those who have mastered emotion act from the center rather than from the periphery of circumstance. Emotional control also builds resilience. Life will always present losses, betrayals, failures, and disappointments. Those who are driven by every emotional surge may break under pressure, their foundation unsettled by each wave of difficulty. The unshakable, however, maintain steadiness because their core does not fluctuate with the tides of fortune or misfortune. Emotional mastery allows endurance, patience, and perspective. It transforms challenges into opportunities for growth, pain into lessons for fortitude, and setbacks into foundations for future strength. A person who controls their emotions also influences those around them. Emotional turbulence is contagious. Calmness and composure inspire trust and confidence. The unshakable heart becomes a source of stability in turbulent times, a model of measured response when chaos reigns. Others look to them for guidance not because they are loud or commanding, but because they embody control. Emotional mastery is a magnet for respect, cooperation, and understanding. It is one of the quietest yet most profound forms of leadership. Developing emotional control requires practice, self-awareness, and discipline. It requires reflection on past reactions, understanding patterns of behavior, and a willingness to interrupt automatic responses. It requires the cultivation of inner peace through meditation, mindfulness, or conscious breathing. It demands that one becomes intimately familiar with their own emotional landscape and learns to navigate it without being overwhelmed. This is not a sudden achievement, it is a lifelong cultivation, a commitment to remaining the master of oneself in a world determined to provoke reaction. Ultimately, emotional control separates the unshakable from the shaken because it transforms vulnerability into power. It does not make one immune to challenge, but it ensures that challenge cannot destroy the foundation of one's being. It allows a person to face adversity with dignity, to maintain clarity amidst chaos, and to act with wisdom where others act in haste. It is the heart's ability to rise above turbulence, the mind's ability to see clearly through confusion, and the spirit's capacity to remain steady regardless of circumstance. Those who have mastered emotional control know the value of patience, discernment, and intentional action. They understand that life's storms will come, but their reaction is their choice. They recognize that the outward circumstances are temporary, but the strength developed through mastery is permanent. In their steadiness, they find freedom. In their clarity, they find influence. In their calm, they find power. The unshakable heart is not defined by the absence of trials, but by the presence of control in the midst of trials. Emotional control is the bridge between reaction and reason, between chaos and composure, between vulnerability and strength. It is what allows a person to stand unflinching while the world attempts to sway them. It is what enables thoughtful action when impulse demands immediacy. It is the distinguishing factor between the shaken, who are swept away by circumstance, and the unshakable, who walk through life with presence, purpose, and unwavering strength. Calmness is learned through experience, pain, and patience. It is not something one is born with, nor is it a gift that arrives unearned. True calmness is cultivated over time, shaped by the challenges we face, the lessons we endure, and the moments in which we choose to rise above our instinctive reactions. Life is rarely gentle, and in its harshness, it offers the greatest teachers. Every trial, every heartbreak, every disappointment is an opportunity to develop a calm heart. Experience teaches us the impermanence of difficulties. Pain teaches us the resilience of the human spirit, and patience allows us to integrate these lessons fully, creating a strength that cannot be rushed or faked. Experience is the first teacher of calmness. When we encounter situations repeatedly, we begin to understand them more deeply. The first time we face adversity, we may panic, cry, or react impulsively. But with each repetition, each encounter, we gain perspective. We begin to see patterns. We begin to notice that life's storms, no matter how terrifying in the moment, always pass. The world does not end with a mistake, a failure, or a conflict. Through experience, we learn to measure the weight of difficulties, to discern what deserves energy and what does not, and to act with understanding rather than haste. Experience allows the mind to step back while the heart continues to feel, creating the foundation for a calm, measured response. Pain, though often unwelcome, is a crucial part of learning calmness. Pain demands attention, forces introspection, and strips away illusions of control. It is in suffering that we discover the depth of our endurance. The heart that has known loss, betrayal, or disappointment learns the value of stillness. It learns that reacting in fury or fear only multiplies suffering. Pain teaches patience, humility, and perspective. It shows us the transient nature of hardship and the permanence of inner strength when nurtured. Each scar, each tear, each aching moment becomes a teacher, revealing the necessity of calmness not as avoidance, but as mastery. Through pain, the heart becomes tempered, like steel forged in fire, gaining resilience that can only come from enduring the trials of life. Patience is the final pillar in the cultivation of calmness. Even with experience and pain, a heart cannot achieve stillness overnight. Patience allows the lessons to settle, the emotions to balance, and the perspective to mature. It is through patience that we learn not to react impulsively, not to rush judgment, and not to surrender to immediate desire or fear. Patience teaches us the rhythm of life, the cycles of growth, and the pace at which true understanding develops. It allows us to observe before acting, to breathe before speaking, and to choose our responses intentionally. Through patience, the heart internalizes what experience and pain have revealed, transforming learned wisdom into practiced calmness. Calmness learned in this way is not passive or indifferent. It is active, aware, and deliberate. It is the ability to hold steady when others are panicked, to think clearly when others are overwhelmed, and to respond with purpose rather than reaction. It is a confidence born of knowledge, a certainty born of endurance, and a power that comes from having faced life's turbulence and emerged centered. Those who have cultivated calmness through experience, pain, and patience do not need to control every external circumstance because they have learned to control the internal. They carry an inner refuge that no storm can breach. Through experience, we encounter challenges that test our impulses, teaching us when to act and when to wait. Through pain, we learn the cost of rash reactions and the value of thoughtful response. Through patience, we allow these lessons to shape us, solidifying the inner calm that becomes a constant companion. It is not in the absence of hardship, but in navigating hardship with awareness and composure that calmness is truly achieved. Each difficult encounter, each emotional struggle, each moment of uncertainty is an opportunity to practice and refine the art of remaining centered. Calmness learned in this way is enduring. It does not rely on favorable circumstances, external validation, or the avoidance of conflict. It is permanent because it has been forged in the crucible of lived experience, shaped by the sharp edges of pain and polished through patient practice. It allows the heart to withstand the unexpected, the mind to navigate complexity, and the spirit to remain unwavering. It is a strength that cannot be shaken by temporary disturbance, because it is rooted in a deep understanding of life, self, and the transient nature of challenges. To cultivate calmness through experience, pain, and patience is to choose mastery over reaction, wisdom over impulse, and resilience over vulnerability. It is to recognize that every moment of difficulty is an opportunity to grow stronger within, and that true power lies not in controlling the world, but in controlling the self. Each lesson learned, each hardship endured, and each patient pause contributes to a heart that is steady, perceptive, and unshakable. Ultimately, calmness is the reward of life lived intentionally, with awareness, endurance, and self-discipline. Experience teaches, pain instructs, and patience nurtures. Together, they transform the reactive heart into a calm, centered force, capable of navigating the storms of life with clarity, grace, and strength. Those who have embraced this path understand that calmness is not innate, but earned, cultivated, and practiced, and that it is in this cultivation that the true power of the human spirit is revealed. Inner peace becomes your greatest armor in life. It is the shield that protects you from the storms that rage outside and the turmoil that rises within. Life, in all its complexity, is filled with challenges, unexpected losses, disappointments, betrayals, uncertainties, and conflicts that test not only our patience, but the very core of who we are. Without a foundation of inner peace, These external pressures can wound us, shake us, and leave us vulnerable. Yet when inner peace is cultivated and embraced, it becomes more than a refuge. It becomes a source of unshakable strength, a protective armor that cannot be pierced by circumstance, opinion, or chaos. Inner peace is not the absence of struggle, nor is it detachment from reality. It is not an escape from emotion or responsibility. On the contrary, inner peace is the mastery of self amidst the very challenges that would otherwise threaten to destabilize us. It is the ability to remain centered when the world attempts to throw you off balance. It is the calm in the middle of a storm, the stillness in the midst of movement, and the clarity amidst confusion. When you carry inner peace, external events no longer have the power to dictate your emotional state. You learn to navigate difficulties with composure, to respond with wisdom rather than react with impulse, and to sustain your sense of self even when circumstances are unpredictable or unjust. The power of inner peace lies in its permanence. External achievements, material possessions, recognition, and approval are fleeting. They rise and fall like tides, and reliance on them creates vulnerability. Inner peace, however, is cultivated from within, grounded in self-awareness, acceptance, and understanding. It is the fruit of self-mastery, reflection, and the willingness to let go of control over what cannot be controlled. This internal grounding acts as armor because it is self-sustaining. It does not rely on others' validation, favorable circumstances, or luck. When challenges arise, when others attempt to provoke, deceive, or intimidate, inner peace allows you to stand unmoved. It provides clarity to discern what matters from what does not, and the wisdom to prioritize energy where it will have the greatest impact. Inner peace also protects the heart from unnecessary suffering. Much of human anguish comes not from the events themselves, but from the way we react to them. Fear, anger, resentment, and anxiety often magnify the pain we experience. A peaceful heart does not deny these feelings, but observes them without letting them dictate action. It recognizes the impermanence of both joy and suffering, understanding that both are part of life's rhythm. By maintaining this inner calm, the individual prevents minor irritations from escalating into major disturbances and significant crises from destroying the equilibrium of mind and spirit. Inner peace, in essence, is preemptive armor. It shields the heart and mind from being consumed by turmoil, allowing for reasoned response instead of reactive devastation. Moreover, inner peace grants freedom. The unpeaceful heart is a prisoner, constantly reacting, constantly anxious, and perpetually exhausted by the relentless demands of life. It is vulnerable to manipulation, distraction, and despair. Inner peace liberates the individual from this cycle. It allows a person to observe life without being enslaved by it. It enables one to make choices from a place of strength rather than compulsion, to engage with the world while maintaining autonomy, and to act with intention rather than in response to every external provocation. Peace is not passivity, it is empowerment. It creates a center of gravity within that stabilizes every movement, decision, and relationship. The armor of inner peace is also relational. When we are at peace within ourselves, our interactions with others are no longer dictated by fear, anger, or insecurity. We are less likely to react impulsively to criticism or conflict. We are less likely to allow jealousy, envy, or resentment to control our behavior. Instead, we respond with compassion, patience, and wisdom. Our presence becomes grounding for others as people instinctively sense the calm and stability within us. In this way, inner peace not only protects the self, but also strengthens the bonds we form, fostering harmonious connections and mitigating unnecessary strife. Inner peace is cultivated through mindfulness, reflection, and practice. It requires the willingness to observe one's thoughts and emotions without judgment, to confront discomfort without panic, and to accept life's imperfections without surrendering to despair. It is developed through patience, perseverance, and the conscious decision to remain centered despite provocation. Every challenge faced with composure, every temptation resisted, and every emotional reaction moderated strengthens this inner armor. Over time, it becomes second nature, a natural resilience that others may admire but cannot easily penetrate. The power of inner peace becomes especially evident in moments of crisis. When unexpected setbacks occur, when relationships fracture, or when life seems to crumble around us, those who have cultivated peace remain composed. Their strength is not flashy or loud, it is subtle, enduring, and unshakable. In the face of adversity, they can see opportunities, make rational decisions, and maintain hope when others are consumed by fear or despair. Inner peace transforms challenges from threats into lessons, from obstacles into opportunities for growth. It does not eliminate difficulty, but it ensures that difficulty cannot destroy the equilibrium of the soul. Furthermore, inner peace enhances clarity and judgment. When the mind is turbulent, perception is clouded, and decisions are often short-sighted. But when the mind and heart are calm, clarity emerges. Solutions that seemed hidden become visible, priorities become aligned, and the ability to navigate complexity improves. The armor of inner peace, therefore, is not passive protection. It is an active tool for intelligent engagement with life. It allows one to act decisively, wisely, and without unnecessary emotional interference. Ultimately, inner peace becomes the foundation upon which all other strengths are built. Physical courage, intellectual ability, and even social influence are magnified when combined with inner calm. Conversely, without peace, even the most talented, intelligent, or physically capable person can be undone by the chaos of emotion and circumstance. Inner peace is the shield that preserves energy, the anchor that maintains stability, and the lens through which life's challenges can be understood with perspective and wisdom. To cultivate inner peace is to equip oneself with the greatest armor possible. It is the quiet force that protects against emotional turbulence, external chaos, and life's unpredictable storms. It allows one to remain centered, composed, and resilient. It strengthens not only the individual, but also their relationships, decisions, and influence. In a world filled with uncertainty, turmoil, and distraction, inner peace is not a passive state, but an active, enduring source of power that cannot be taken, shaken, or diminished. It is the fortress of the heart and the mind, the unseen yet unbreakable protection that carries a person through life's challenges with strength, clarity, and grace. So let the world spin, let the storms rise, let the noise shout your name, because you, yes, you, carry something far stronger, a heart that knows when to be still, a heart that cannot be shaken, a heart that has discovered its calm and therefore has discovered its power. The calm heart is the strongest heart, and today that heart can be yours.